Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, there's an awful lot going on. I'm going to get the charts started right away. Let's start the charts right here, and let's take a look at what's going on. The first thing we're going to take a look at is silver and gold today. We got a little bounce back in silver today. It's up 11 cents, which is good. You know, the dollar's going up too. I think it could be a fear trade, to tell you the truth, why it's up 11 cents today, but that's actually a good sign for silver and gold. Gold's up $4.40 on the day. Now, why you say fear trade? Well, I'll get into that later. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, 87.12. Now, you spent most of the day yesterday in around 86, the 8600s. Now it's 87.12. It's up 0.71% on the day. It's staying really nice and strong. It's seen massive moves up recently in price. Bitcoin has. And Bitcoin's trying to break $9,000 right now. Now, I think there's a little bit of resistance around 9,000, around the $9,000 mark, but it's trying to break 9,000. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. And what we see is $274.8 billion. So the market cap's up from last night. Last night it was running at around 275 and stuff like that. Now it's 273 and stuff like that. Now it's 274.8. So it's gained a couple $2 billion worth of market cap. The Bitcoin dominance is falling back a little bit. It was up in the 57s. Now it's like 56.1. That's very important to the cryptocurrency industry, is the Bitcoin dominance. How dominant is Bitcoin? And Bitcoin dominance is weakening back, means that we're actually seeing a little bit of a waterfall effect where the money is starting to flow into the altcoins. And we see today some of the prices of the altcoins are up some. XRP is up substantially. Bitcoin Cash is up substantially. Litecoin is up a fraction. So let's look at the prices. $271 for Ethereum. 45 cents for XRP. Bitcoin Cash $449. EOS is $8. Litecoin is $115. Binance Coin is $33. Bitcoin SV is $164. Stellar is 13 cents. Cardano is 9.1 cents. Tron is 3.4 cents. Monero is $94, and Dash is $167. Well, I'll do IOTA too today. IOTA's 50 cents, 50.9 cents. So all these altcoins are really doing well. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones for the day. Not so good. Not so good. We're off almost 200 points on the day so far. I'll tell you what. I think this is could very possibly get nasty with the markets, get bad. Things could go sour with the markets. There's an awful lot of things going on in the world that can affect the markets. One of the things is Deutsche Bank. I don't know why it's not big in the news right now. They fell another 2% again. Now they're like 6.18 euros. I gave you guys the mark on Deutsche Bank. 6 euros is the mark. They're not far away from the mark. They're barely above the mark. They're barely holding their head above water. Once they drop below 6 euros, that's when I think the real fireworks is going to start to begin. And honest, what's going to stop it? They just continue to slide and slide and slide. At a certain point, they're going to go over a cliff, and their stock price. And that could happen suddenly. If that happens suddenly, forget bailouts and stuff. They won't have time for bailouts. Deutsche Bank will just be down, basically gone. And you know what I mean? And then they'll have to deal with the results of Deutsche Bank falling. That's where the bailouts are going to come in. The bailouts are going to come in trying to lessen the impact of the other banks that take a hit. You know, they're going to get bailed out, not Deutsche Bank. I don't think Deutsche Bank's going to get a bailout. Let's take a look now at crude oil. You know why I say I don't think Deutsche Bank's going to get a bailout? You know why I say that? The reason is very simple. First off, the bailout's already been here, and it failed. The bailout was the merger between Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank. That was your bailout, and it failed. Basically, is they pulled their horns back, and basically, I guess they made the decision at that point, well, let's let Deutsche Bank go. You know, that's what I think. That's my opinion on it. And I don't think a bailout's coming. I think Deutsche Bank's going down, and then they're going to try to lessen the collateral damage that occurs within the banking system after Deutsche Bank goes back down. At this point, we're in unprecedented territory within the financial system. And I think they don't really know what to do. They haven't really got a plan, other than a collapse and then try to prop things up the way they know how. It's going to be a mess. And that's why I say the Dow Jones, you know, this could just be the beginning of the collapse of the Dow Jones. You know, because Deutsche Bank is imminent. Failure's imminent. Let's take a look now at U.S. Treasuries. Now, this is another big, bad monster that they're trying to fight, just like Deutsche Bank, and it has the potential to affect the markets just like Deutsche Bank, is this yield curve inversion, which daily is getting worse. Look at this. Look at this. The U.S. 30-year has dropped almost 5 basis points. 5 basis points today. The U.S. 30-year. U.S. 10-year, 4.9 basis points. Again, well, it's dropped back to 4.9, but it's falling today. Desperate big numbers. Look at the 5-year. 5.3 basis points. Fall of 5.3 basis points. I'm telling you, this yield curve, the long end of this yield curve is losing big numbers, while we look at the short end of the yield curve and the numbers are very small. That means that the long end is moving much faster than the short end, and the long end is falling. The yields are falling on the long end. This means that this yield curve inversion is threatening to reach out all the way to the U.S. 30-year. It's all the way to the 10-year right now, solidly to the 10-year, and it's reaching out to the 30-year, which would be a full-scale, all the way across the board yield curve inversion. That's what we're headed toward right now. Now let's take a look at the dollar. And we see them moving into the dollar, but not big time. It's the same way with gold and silver. Moving into gold and silver today, that's what it looks like to me. It's fear. Right now, investors are starting to get scared. This could just be the start of these moves. So what we're seeing is, normally when we see the dollar go up, okay, we see gold go down. Look at this. Dollar's going up right now. Now look at gold. She's going up too. $3.20 at this point in time. You know, and so we're seeing the dollar moving with gold up. This is an indicator to me that not everybody's frightened right now, but there's some investors, some of the early ones that are just starting to get frightened of this thing, you know. Now let's take a look at the earthquakes today. And you know what? She's a quiet day for earthquakes, so we're not going to spend much time on this. Basically, it's just your standard amount of tiny little quakes that we get almost every single day. Let's take a look now at the disease outbreak map. And the United States is free of disease right now for the most part, except for a few things like hantavirus and stuff like that. And this is why never pick up a dead rodent with your hands. Always go and get some sort of a tool, a shovel or something, you know, and wear a mask. And don't get anywhere near the darn thing, you know, because there's more than one disease that rodents carry. They carry hantavirus, but they also very rarely can carry plague. Quite seriously. It comes off the fleas, off of the rodents, you know. And so, if you get a rodent anywhere, get rid of the thing with a shovel and wear a mask. And try not to touch it. If you do have to touch it, make sure you wear gloves. You know, darn things. They're awful pests. Awful nuisance they are. But now we're going to talk about there is Ebola down in the deepest, darkest region of the Congo, and I hear disturbing news about the Ebola today. The fact that the workers there they trace transmission. Now, what that basically means is if somebody comes down with Ebola, say John comes down with Ebola, they want to know where he got it from. They want to know the person he caught it from, right? And so they can trace it back to, say, Sally. Say Sally gave John Ebola, and they know that who he caught it from. They know he caught it from Sally. They can say, we have a line of transmission here. We know where it's coming from. I heard disturbing news today out of the Congo that most of the patients, they are not able to establish this line of transmission. And this means they don't know where it's coming from. This would be an indicator that the outbreak is probably wider than they think it is. That's what I would conclude from that. But they're saying as of yesterday, they were saying 1,912 patients, and something like 800 or 900 have died or something like that. Anyway, but it's growing. It's growing within the Congo. They need to squash this out now. Now, listen, if you guys are scared to death, maybe you went to one of these sites out there that says, Ebola's going to go everywhere and the world's going to catch it. We're all going to die. Ah! No, Ebola's not your disease for that. The way it spreads, the way it transmits, it's not an airborne disease. It's a disease you have to get into somebody's, like you have to have really close contact. You got to basically get into their saliva or something like that. You got to basically, get into their bodily fluids and stuff, and you got to touch them, get it on your hands and stuff. And it's not that easy. It's easy to catch if you do that, if you get into the bodily fluids. But if you're like 100 feet away from an Ebola patient, and you don't touch anything that they touch, you're likely not going to catch it. Whereas the flu is different. You can be 100 feet away from a person that has the flu and they're coughing and stuff, and you might come down with it. So it's all got to do with transmission, Now, the disease that threatens to spread through the entire world is your I shouldn't say common flu, a flu like a flu that occurred years ago that was called the Spanish influenza. It spread everywhere in the world, killed massive amounts of people. That's the bad one. That's the one that spreads to. Now, I'm not saying Ebola's not bad, but I'm saying that at a certain point, once it starts to try to move out of the Congo, and if it grows larger, it will try to move out of the Congo, it's going to represent a problem because this is a scare disease. Everybody in the world gets terrified, especially in the Western world, about Ebola. And the thing about it is if this grows within the Congo, there will come a certain point in time when it'll start to try to seed itself in other countries. It's going to create fear and terror. And these guys out there who are saying, everybody's going to die, well, their sites are going to get an awful lot of people going in there and being frightened to death, because they'll watch some show and they'll say, this is when it starts to try to seed itself in other countries, and they'll be frightened to death. But more than likely, at a certain point, they'll probably get this epidemic contained, but by the time they get it contained, it might be actually a larger outbreak than the last one we had. That's possible, entirely possible, highly probable, because this is right in the center of Africa, and this could be really bad in Africa, and it could try to seed itself in other countries and create fear and panic and terror if it tries to do that. But ultimately, the fear, panic, and terror in these other countries where it tries to seed itself will start to break down the lines of transmission. And at a certain point, like, in other words, say it tries to seed itself in North America. Well, the area it's trying to seed itself will become, like, terrorized. Everybody will stay home. And everybody will be scared to touch anybody else and scared over here, fear, And that fear helps to reduce the ability of the virus to spread itself. What Ebola needs to spread, to really spread everywhere, is it needs to have people who don't understand. to people who think that this is some curse from God or something, and it's not real, and they don't understand how it's spread or anything. The biggest thing to fight Ebola is knowledge. And over here in the West, we understand this much better, and so we're able to fight it much better, and what it does is it burns itself out. Because we understand how it's spread and everything much better. Now, there is possibilities where a disease can actually mutate, though. Let's pray that never happens with Ebola. Ebola's a bad disease. Anyway, talked enough about Ebola. The stupid thing can go fly off the edge of the earth and get rid of it. I hope they get rid of it soon. I hope they don't let it. What they need to do to get rid of the stupid thing is cut off air traffic, because that's what spreads it, is air traffic. It would never get out of Africa if they didn't let any flights out of Africa. You know what I mean? That's the thing. That's the area where they need to target the most, you know. And it just takes a little bit of preventative medicine, basically. So now let's take a look at rare earth minerals, China's trump card in the trade war with the United States. You know what? China's right on to start with these rare earth minerals, start limiting the United States in trade within these rare earth minerals, and they're using it as their trump card. What are rare earths? Rare earths are a group of 17 elements, it shows a picture here of them, that are used in the production of a huge number of sectors, including renewable energy, technology, oil refinery, electronics, and the glass industry. Although called rare, they are actually found relatively abundant in the Earth's crust, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. However, there are relatively few places in the world that mine or produce them. Extraction is difficult and potentially damaging to the environment. Okay, here's the thing. The United States, they've been just getting all from China, all the rare earths from China, and not paying attention to any of our rare earths we have in the ground over here, not mining them or anything. So China has basically leverage. Not because rare earths are not found anywhere in the earth, it's because China is the guys who's got the mine set up. They got the mine for rare earths. So they're going to cut off production. Well, you know what we need to do? We need to get out there, find a place in the ground where there's rare earths over here. We have rare earths. Get some mining equipment together. Do it. Make a rare earth mine. And do it fast. Right underneath the Chinese's nose. We can do it. We're the greatest country on earth as far as putting something together. Look at what we did in the D-Day invasion during World War II. Germans never saw it coming. We can do the same thing with China with the rare earth minerals. We can put together a giant task force of mining machines, and one night the mine could just be a farmer's field or whatever, with rare earths in the ground beneath the field, you know. And the next day, there can be an entire mining corporation there with big machines and everything. We can move it in that quick. We just need to do it. Do it. Find a place where we have rare earth minerals, where they're abundant in the ground, and just bring in the army, and bring in the navy, and bring in the machines. Do it overnight. And start producing our own, and not rely upon China for rare earths. This would knock the wind out of their sails, for crying out loud. Now let's take a look at this article here. China holds 3 trump cards, you know, and they're listing one of the big ones. I'll tell you what, they're listing one of the big ones here. Where did it say? I got to find the spot I was looking for, where it lists our 3 trump cards. Okay, banning the export of rare earth minerals to the United States is number 1 on their list. So, if we open up our own mine of rare earths, that will potentially take that away from them. They won't have it anymore. Blocking U.S. companies' access to the Chinese market. Well, they can still do that. But, you know, using their China's portfolio of U.S. Treasury bonds to bring down the United States government, they're not going to do that. That would hurt them too, you know. So they're probably not going to sell their Treasury bonds, but they are going to ban the export of rare earths to the United States. So we got to get in there one ahead of them. I'm sure we can find a place, someplace in America, where rare earths are in abundance, and we just got to get a mine in there and do it fast. Build it overnight. You know, we got lots of excavators, we've got lots of conveyor belts. Some of them are sitting idle on the side of the road. You've probably drove down the highway someplace and saw a whole big field full of excavators just sitting there, not doing nothing. You know, you've probably driven someplace and saw a whole bunch of mining equipment just sitting there, not doing nothing. They say, oh, well, we're going to auction all that off to the highest bidder or whatever. No, put it to work. Get it out there and get a mine built and get this under production. Heck, have the government subsidize it. Government, get out there, subsidize the darn thing. You're subsidizing all the farmers. Subsidize a couple rare earth mineral mines. Completely subsidize them. Subsidize them with the money that they're taking in from these tariffs. Subsidize it. Get it on the road and do it overnight. And take this away from the Chinese so that we have our own rare earth mineral production. Just as extensive as the Chinese's. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this show, and we'll catch you on the very next show. Bye-bye.